All right, what is going on, everyone? This is Elevation with Chris Orm, episode 12, where we talk to individuals who have climbed the ladder of success. And today we have a very special guest, and that's Olivia Fox. Olivia Fox is a graduate of the University of Nevada, Reno. We're repping the Wolfpack today. And Olivia is an online fitness coach where she helps transform the lives of men and women around the world through fitness, mindset, and nutrition. So with that, I welcome Olivia to the show, and we got a great episode for you today. Olivia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. That was quite the intro. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, you earned it. So, Olivia, this is your first podcast.
It is, yeah.
You excited for that?
I am.
Cool. So, Olivia actually went to the same high school I did. We weren't necessarily friends at the time, but we got acquainted in college. So that's how I met Olivia. She is a graduate of the University of Nevada, Reno. So that's super cool. And Olivia, tell us a little bit about college and what you majored in and how that went for you.
Yeah. So, like you said, I went to UNR. I studied first environmental science, and I had a dual minor in ecohydrology and chemistry.
Okay.
I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely loved what I studied. It took me about 4.5 years to graduate. I finished up, and right as I finished up was when the pandemic was hitting.
Yep.
And I was kind of like in a place where I was like, okay, do I want to go to grad school? Do I want to keep doing this? I was looking for all these like environmental jobs, and nothing really stuck, and nothing was really financially viable.
Yep.
And so I figured, like, so I could hit that next tier in environmental science, I'd have to go back and get a master's. Contemplated it. I actually went back, started one. I immediately stopped because it was not my forte. And it took some time, honestly. After that, I took, I think, a semester off, went back actually to study environmental policy because I thought I was going to go to law school, and then finished that. And then I was like, no, I actually do not want to go to law school. So I put myself through a lot of schooling, really trying to make other people happy at the end of the day. I think that's what it was, make my family happy, and do things for them. And I was very unhappy as I did it.
Did they have high expectations for you that they pressured you into?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And a lot of it was very much having to do with the fact that they paid for my first degree.
Yeah.
And that is something, it's like I owe them a lot for that, and I appreciate them a lot for that, you know?
Yeah.
But I also, that wasn't my path.
Okay.
And that's not my path. And I think that's been like a really hard thing. And it took me a long time to accept that. I didn't want to like let them down. But then I was like, I don't want to be unhappy the rest of my life trying to make them happy. It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And so I really just switched things up.
Okay. So I think it's really important that you have kind of a vision for your future. Mm-hmm. And it's funny enough that we're having this conversation today because I recently just sat down and recorded a YouTube video. It's like my anti-vision, the things I like to do in my ideal life. Mm-hmm. And I kind of fall into that path in which you were talking about too. It's like I kept trying to make people happy. Like I didn't know what I actually wanted to do. And there's an online creator, Dan Coe. Do you know who Dan Coe is?
No, it sounds familiar.
Okay, so he basically has a quote. It says, like, if you don't create your own path, one will be defined for you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's super relevant to both of our lives. And it sounds like, you know, I don't want to speak for you, but it sounds like you were just trying to make someone else happy, and maybe you didn't know what your path was, so you were trying new things. And I think by trial and error, we find out what we don't like.
Absolutely, yeah. I feel like that's exactly what it was. I was trying to make I was trying to make my family happy.
Yeah.
And I loved what I studied. That was the hard part. That was like, everyone was like, you love it so much, so like work in that space.
Yeah.
And I tried to, and I just wasn't happy. And so it was a lot of push and pull and a lot of confusion. And I was like, a lot of like internal turmoil that I went through. And then when I decided to I think deep down, the funny thing is I knew what I wanted to do the entire time. I was always in college, and I was like, if I could live in the gym and be in the gym all the time, I would. This is like my place. So I think I always knew deep down.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to admit that to my family. They kind of have like a very weird relationship with like people working in fitness and stuff. And I don't think that they they still don't really see it as like a career,
Yeah.
viable career. They don't really understand what I do. And, I think it's hard to explain to a lot of people, but the fact that I help so many people now and I'm doing what I love, it's so rewarding. And I really I'm happy that I went down the path that I did, even though it took me a while to get here.
And I'm sure it's kind of scary to, go off the beaten path where you're getting a degree, you're going to college, you're putting in all this time, all this money. Do you think this is potentially what you love? And then to kind of just change it up, it's a scary feeling.
Oh, it was terrifying. I didn't tell anybody when I did it. I told absolutely nobody. I wasn't posting online, nothing. I actually started, I was getting my CPT and I just went up to a bunch of friends and I was like, let me train you.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to post it online. And then that's how I got started. And then it spread by word of mouth. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until I moved here and I switched to fully online that I started posting online.
Yeah.
And then I I was like, okay, I have to tell my family now. I always wanted to wait until I was making something of myself.
Yeah.
I didn't want anyone else's opinion to distract me from my vision.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was going to happen. And so I just kept it really private and focused on what exactly I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that I did it that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you got your personal trainer certificate. So I think maybe from your parents' perspective that they might have only thought as is Olivia just going to be a personal trainer? The phrasing just a personal trainer,
Right.
Maybe that's all they had the idea that you could do in the fitness industry, either that maybe be a dietitian or something like that. I mean, there's very few options
Right.
when it comes to fitness and careers in fitness. But the online fitness coach has really kind of paved the path for doing exactly what you want to do. And it's at a scalable level.
It is. And that's why I love it, And actually, when my parents found out, they didn't even know that I had gotten my CPT or anything. They only knew when I went online. So they didn't even know I was doing any kind of in-person training or anything like that. So they saw me doing online training and I had to explain to it. My dad has been the biggest supporter.
Nice.
So he was a bodybuilder. So
Shout out to Olivia's dad.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
He was all in for me working in the fitness industry, and honestly whatever I wanted to do, he was all in regardless. It definitely took my mom some more convincing. And I think a lot of it was justified at first. It's hard to start your own business almost out of thin air, and then to make it profitable, and thank God I've been able to make it profitable in the short time that I've turned it into an online business. But it took a lot of convincing. And the thing that I do love though is, so I got to experience in-person training, which I think that all online trainers should.
Yep.
And I got to now experience all online. There's pros and cons to each one.
For sure.
I think the pros with online definitely far exceed the cons to doing in-person training, Yeah. And so I really, I feel like I can touch a lot more people this way, and I can connect with people, and I can stay on them on a daily basis. Rather, when I did in person, I'd see them once, twice a week, know, and then hope that they ate all the right things, in the meantime, and hope that they did the training that they were supposed to do. This way, it's okay, I give you access to my app, and I can see every day, are you hitting your macros? Are you doing your lifts?
Are you on track?
Yes, and so it makes it a lot easier to actually train people.
For sure. So one of the big things that I find about online training, so part of the reason I wanted to have you on the show is in 2020 when COVID happened, I actually hired an online fitness coach. His name is Chris Lovato. Okay. And he was big on YouTube back in the peak YouTube fitness era.
Love it.
So I hired him for, his package was a 1-year epic body transformation is literally what the package was called.
Yeah.
And rather than using a lot of the software that's out now, I don't know, do you use Trainerize?
I use EverFit.
Okay. So we did all our stuff on a very advanced Excel spreadsheet. So I had one tab for nutrition, in which he guided me on my macronutrient protocols.
Yeah.
And then one tab related to fitness and training. So I was on a 5-day-a-week split.
Okay.
And to transform your body, I think, is the gateway drug to success.
Yes.
Right? So when you see that you're an alchemist, when you put in all this energy and time towards something and you can see the goal at the end of it, I think that's super powerful. And fitness changed my life. So I think it's cool that you're doing that for other people, because it really can change someone's self-esteem. It can change their confidence. It can change their total trajectory on life.
Yeah.
And I think, there's a lot of online fitness coaches, but I know very few people that are in my circle that are actually doing it. So I think it's super cool that you went all in on your passion, because like you said, it's not easy. It's actually quite difficult. A lot of people can make a website, they can make a social media profile, they can make the content, but to actually turn it into a profitable business with paying clients, I think people often forget, like, hey, you need like paying clients that trust in you and do that. And then once you get kind of the momentum rolling with testimonials, things like that, like you can really start to grow the business.
For sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, congratulations on your journey.
Thank
Did
you.
you do the full year with him?
I did, and it was epic, right? It was an epic 1-year journey.
Good. I
Yeah.
love that. What
Yeah.
was your goal?
So I went from like 179 to like 144. And that was definitely like the leanest I've ever been. Like I had 6-pack, things like that. But it was just the feeling of seeing it week after week. And it's not all a straight line to success. Like there's definitely ups and downs. There's definitely hurdles, like going out to eat and things like that. But this was during the COVID time where restaurants were closed for the most part. So without the distractions, I think distractions is the thing that holds most people back.
For sure.
Right? They want to go out with their friends, and you can do things like that in moderation, but I was still drinking at the time. So it's making the right decisions rather than drinking, what I loved, an IPA beer. Maybe you'll settle for, a Captain and Diet, something like that.
Yeah.
But I definitely saw what fitness could do for me, and I think that's led us on the path today for elevation. And I really am so grateful to Chris Yucky Lovato, who I've never met in person, but he transformed my life, and I think that's the power of online coaching.
Absolutely. That's the thing. It's like you can reach so many more people than just doing in person. And I think that there's definitely like a time and a place for in person.
Yeah.
But like when you look at a lot of like people who are very successful in fitness, they're not always doing in-person sessions, and it's once you kind of learn that base, like the fundamentals, then you can really excel. And that's why I always say like my programs start at like 3 months, because we're learning the base there.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times people will renew for another 3 or even 6 months or even a year at some points. And that's like when you really start building, and that's when you start seeing people really excel and build those healthy habits. And it is hard. It's like you have to choose to go every day. But the way that I look at it, it's like you're choosing yourself at the end of the day. Like you're choosing your own growth. You're choosing your own path to success. And I definitely believe like to be like the best version of yourself and to be very successful, like you have to be healthy.
For sure.
And I feel like especially in the US, like we don't really prioritize health like that. We don't do a lot of education on nutrition and what it means to be healthy and be fit. And it's so crazy because you think about it and we have all this knowledge of different diseases and stuff that are so prevalent, but it's like, okay, how do we stop ourselves from getting there? And it's like, it's not all just genetic. We don't just like inherit all of this and then we're just doomed. It's like, there's so many things that you can do to prevent that.
Right.
And it starts with just like putting yourself first and investing in yourself and investing in your health and taking it seriously at the end of the day, because you only have your one body.
For sure.
And it's the most important thing,
Yeah. So always invest in yourself, folks. I think that is a key lesson in which Olivia is talking about, but I think that goes kind of across the board. Every area you can invest in yourself, do it, because an investment in self is always worth it.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's talk about misinformation in terms of the health and fitness industry. I know there's so much information out there. Should I eat carbs? Should I not eat sugar? Should I go on the carnivore diet? Things like that. And I think it actually hurts a lot of people when they don't have the right information. And I think on that same front, prior to the show, we were talking about how, you just wanted to be skinny, right? I think a lot of girls start out on their fitness journey saying like, hey, I just want to be as thin as possible. Like, that's what I want. That's the body I want. I want to look like a 90-pound Victoria's Secret model, right? And that is not the healthy way to go about this.
No, not at all. Absolutely not. Yeah, when I started, had a terrible mindset about, it wasn't about health. As much as I wanted to like pretend it was about health, it wasn't about health.
Right.
It was about being as small as possible. I had an eating disorder that was like at its peak, and was in a really not healthy relationship at the time too, where I was constantly being told like I couldn't be like bigger than the person that I was with. I look back at it now and I like laugh.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe you were just a little small, because I was tiny at that point in time. And I think that was like an insecurity that was projected onto me, but I took it so deeply and I didn't see it as that. I just took it as like, oh my gosh, like I'm getting so big. I had no body composition.
Yeah.
Literally, like I always say, like no muscle, no fat. Like it was so unhealthy. And I really tried to stay little. And it's funny because like I said, my dad was really into bodybuilding. So I grew up lifting, right? So like I did cardio, but I was also lifting. And I knew how to like lift to stay small, but inevitably over time I started like building a little bit of muscle, and then I loved the way that it looked on me. And I was like, wait, this is actually like, my mindset changed about it. I was like, this is really cool. I'm kind of starting from ground zero, and I can build my body to look the way that I want it to look.
Yeah.
That wasn't necessarily like the reason that I got into the gym, but that's like where a lot of my progression came from. And that's when I had like a big mindset shift about the gym. I didn't, like I said, I didn't start for healthy reasons at all. I honestly started because like my mental health was so bad. I like told myself, I was like, I need to go every day. I need to go every day that I'm feeling down. And I just ended up in there every single day. So that's how that habit built. And like I said, I wasn't in a mentally healthy place. And so my goals weren't healthy. Right. But all of that really started to transition over time. And I'm glad that it did, because I feel like I've been through that experience and I can help a lot of my clients who go through that.
And I think it's important, like you touched on a great principle. It's like heal yourself and then teach others.
Yeah.
So to help these men and women that you're coaching, you have to have somewhat of a relatable experience. So you have to know the struggles that they go through. It's like, hey, like I know what it's like to feel down, and then you need to go to the gym to kind of use that as your therapeutic outlet. And I think, when did you have that breakthrough that you started using gym kind of as a therapy, and then you got in a better mental state?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it was a slow transition.
Okay.
I attribute a lot of that transition to I started dating someone who had a much better mindset about things, and really encouraged me. They're like, I don't care if you get big, if you want to like grow muscles. And I kind of had that affirmation, which was weird because I knew that that's what I wanted. Yeah. But I was scared because I was like, am I going to be with someone again who doesn't want that? And I felt like that helped me grow a lot, to be honest. Like I wish I could be like, oh no, it was just all me, like my mindset just changed. But no, there was that person that really helped me really go through that hurdle. Yeah. And it shifted a lot of things in me. I would say it was probably 2020 when that mindset really shifted, like 2020, 21. And then I was just like trying to be like the biggest person in the room after that.
So when you see 10.0 Olivia 5 years from now, you see yourself, with muscles, like
for sure,
arms, legs, the whole shebang.
Yeah, I like the wellness look.
Okay.
I think like I want to just master the wellness look.
Okay. So some people do it for vanity reasons. Some people do it for health reasons. Yeah. Do you ever see yourself stepping on stage? Is that like a goal of yours?
So I To be honest, I never wanted to step on stage.
Okay.
About a month ago, I started to rethink it.
Okay.
Like I said, like I started for mental health reasons, and to be honest, like when you compete, it really takes a toll on your mental health, especially
Yep.
like when you get closer to prep. And
Yep.
I just knew I was not in a place to go through that. And I was like, I'm doing this for health reasons, and I don't want to put myself backwards, right? I feel like I've hit a place where I could go through that now and like make it through, and also care for my clients at the same time, because that's like my biggest thing. I don't want to go through that and then I'm not mentally well and then I can't care for them.
Right.
And so I feel like I'm at a place where I can really balance it well. So I've been thinking about like possibly like next year, like doing some building, and then next year.
All right, guys. You heard it here first. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't want to step on stage
Yeah.
though until I'm ready, until I'm competitive. Like, I don't want to be up there just to be up there and be like, oh, I did a show. Like, no, I want to be competitive. I want to win.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to take some time for sure.
And it's hard to stay healthy and do competitive bodybuilding. I mean,
Yes.
we won't not talk about the elephant in the room that most people who do competitive bodybuilding at some point start to use drugs. Like, I'm not going to ask you that question point blank on the podcast, but that is like a real life thing. So like anyone who claims they're natural and they have full muscle bellies on stage and they don't look like a string bean, especially I'm talking about men, you know, women can be a slightly different story, but there's a lot of fake natties out there, folks. So definitely like be cautious of that if you are thinking about stepping on stage.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's hard, especially like when you talk about peds, especially because a lot of athletes are sponsored.
Yeah.
And you can't disclose that.
Right.
So I think some people, I don't think it's okay to say that you're not, or you're natural when you're not. But I understand why some people like won't talk about it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it used to be complete taboo. I mean, it's now become more and more open. Like some people even make jokes about it. There's the trend twins.
yeah.
But like for a while, Jay Cutler, who's a Mr. Olympia, who's 300 pounds of just pure muscle, claimed natural or didn't claim anything. But like,
Wait, when? Recently?
no, when in like 2005, when magazines were popular, when he was the reigning champ, like everyone knows, right?
Yes.
If you guys don't know, Jay Cutler is on performance enhancing drugs. So I hate to break it to you.
That's so funny. I didn't know that he claimed to be natural at any point.
Maybe
in
he
time.
just didn't claim anything.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Do you know? Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if anything, like don't claim to be what you're not.
Yeah.
Just don't claim anything at that point. You know, like people can assume. You can keep like your sponsorships, like whatever you got to do. Stay brand safe.
Yeah. Do you know who Rich Piana is?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so Rich Piana, I met him one time prior to his passing, and I saw him at one of the Olympia expos. He was the freakiest man I've ever seen, even in real life. Like this guy, I forget what his tagline is. It's like leaving humanity behind. This guy was just a freak. Like I just look at people like that, and that's one extreme, and that's not the health and fitness. That's the I'm going to be as big as possible and do whatever it takes.
Yeah, purely like the aesthetic, like the competitive side of it. Like, there's a really like slippery slope when it comes to pets. And I think a lot of people aren't aware of that. And I think especially now people start too young because they look at people who are really big, who are claiming to be natty or who are claiming not anything, you know, and then people tell them like, oh, the only way that you can like get to that size is to like use peds, like, and so they start doing it really young. Yeah. And it's a disaster.
I mean, every young man that goes to the gym, it crosses their mind, like no doubt.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But I don't know. I think that there's a certain age for sure that you should wait at least in a certain amount of muscle maturity, like natural muscle maturity that should be established.
For sure.
And experience. Like some people just like are going in, have been working out for like a year, and they're like, I'm gonna do tests, I'm gonna do all this, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I was like, you don't even have any, like, you have no muscle maturity, like you don't have experience, like you're just gonna mess up your hormones. And I was like, what's your blood work? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like,
that's the problem. Like
you have no idea what you're like getting yourself into, and it's damaging long term.
For sure. So on the topic of experience, let's say someone comes to you, they say, I've never been in the gym before.
Yeah.
I think that person it's extremely difficult for them for a lot of reasons to start kind of the gym phase. And
Right.
and one of my recent guests, Sean Alexander, talks about making the decision is the hardest part. That's the first step you take. Like, hey, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to go to the gym. And it can be intimidating because, you're not strong. People might be looking at you. You've never been to the gym before. You don't know how to do these exercises. So if a man or woman comes to you and says, hey, I've never been to the gym before, like, how do you best guide them? How do you teach them how to do bent over barbell rows? How do you teach them how to properly do a squat? Like, how does that work as an online coach?
Yeah. So I've actually had a couple of people who work with me and they're like, I'm not very familiar with the gym. Like I would go and just kind of like do random stuff and they're just not exactly sure. And so with people like that, you really have to give them a basic program to start. And my first week before we do any sort of like actual training is me sending them certain movements and asking them to send me videos of different angles.
A form check.
Yes. Because I need to see like what we're kind of working with, and let's make those adjustments before we add any weight whatsoever. Like let's start body weight and then like let's get comfortable for sure.
Okay.
And I tell people too, like before you even like, if it's really intimidating for you to go into the gym, go in there and do cardio, like go find the treadmills. And while you're doing cardio, just like look around the gym, like see where different machines are, like see people doing them, like, watch other people and just get kind of familiar with it. So then when you are ready to like step into the machines or into the free weights, like you have an idea of where you're going and maybe a little bit of an idea of how to use the machines. But the thing that I love about my app, it shows you videos for every single movement. If there's a movement that you don't know how to do, you just click the video right next to it. It's like 15 seconds long and it shows you exactly how to do it. And all my clients, I tell them, I'm like, if you are like stuck, like look over your workout, but like if you're stuck or something and you're like, something doesn't feel right, whatever it is, like shoot me a text or give me a call and like I'll talk you through it, like 100%. Like if you need to FaceTime me to show me something, like you're that confused, like please, like don't feel like hesitant to do that at all. Like you have me 24/7.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people get frustrated. It's like, oh, I'm doing the barbell overhead press and it doesn't feel right. It's like people get a lot of worked up over that. It's like there's tons of other options to work your shoulders. You can do dumbbells, you could do machine press. Like really, I think a lot of people overcomplicate the gym. And I think that's one of the biggest problems. But I think the best part about finding an online coach is the accountability, someone to check in with, like, hey, I'm having this problem and I don't really have anyone else to talk to. Like, can I talk to you about this?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things, like with online training and having like an online coach is I'm there to keep you accountable, to make sure that you're going every day. To if you have any questions, I'm your fitness Google. Ask me anything, everything, whether it's about the workouts, like the nutrition guidance that we're doing, like supplements that you see in the store that you have questions about, like ask me like everything. And it's so interesting because a lot of the people that I talk to, they are from social media. And I'm like, where do you get your workouts now? 90% of the time, they're like, well, I watched like this video on TikTok or like I watched this. And there are so many videos that I see of like weird variations of things. And, I kind of get it. It's like people need to get creative to put content out there. But at the end of the day, like the basics are what are going to make you the most progress. And if you get to a point where you just exceed a basic movement, okay, you need to do a little variation in there. That makes sense. But some of these like TikTok variations or Instagram variations, like just for content, I'm like, it's not beneficial. You're not like activating that muscle in the most efficient way possible.
They're just trying to do too much to get some attention or to get extra likes or something.
Whatever it is, I have no idea. But and like I said, like I think people just are running out of content. But I would never promote something that isn't going to be the most beneficial.
So someone who works with you run the basics because the basics work, right? I realize that, you realize that. The hard thing is that the basics don't sell. The basics aren't sexy. The basics are, it's going to take time. You need to do the work. Like that's hard to sell to somebody.
Oh, for sure. I think a lot of like what it's turning into now is personal branding.
Yeah.
Which I love because it's like,
me too.
When you're working with someone, like like there's that personal aspect of it, and not all online coaches are like that. But like with me, like I talk to like all my clients, like we get to know each other, like we're working together.
Yeah.
You know, it's a much more personal relationship than I think a lot of people realize, and not all coaches are like that. Like I said, like some you don't talk to at all. You know, there's actually a lot of like high level influencers. Like, yeah, you can buy their package for like $250 a month or something, or even like $100 a month, but you don't talk to them ever.
Right.
Like, if anything, like you're talking to like their BAs. Yes, I don't know if I wanted to go there, but
Cookie cutter programs, VAs, like
yeah,
there's a lot of sketchiness that goes on. But you talk about personal branding, like someone chooses to work with whatever fitness coach they want to because they relate to their message, right? So if someone doesn't necessarily relate to your message, maybe they relate to someone else's message because, you know, maybe they're a gaming online fitness coach. You know, they focus on gaming as well as personal, you know, health and wellness.
Yeah.
It's like they work with you because they trust in you. And I think trust is the main reason that people come to you.
100%. Like because if they don't trust you, like they're not going to buy your program. They're not going to give you any money. You know, they'll just find someone that they do trust. And I think that's why it's like, I like personal branding, because you can just be yourself, and I believe like the people that are meant to work with you, like they're going to find you, you know? And I feel like that's how I've ended up with like a lot of really cool clients, is because they've just gotten to know me and just like really respect me and appreciate me. And I just love working with them.
Are a lot of the clients that you find, like, is it 100% from social media?
Yes.
Pretty damn close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, except for like 2 or maybe 3 girls that I know in person, but still it's like they saw me on social media.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all social media.
Yeah. I literally, social media has changed the game. It's like started the career opportunity that you have. Like,
for
you
sure.
do realize that 10, 15 years ago, prior to Instagram, what you did was non-existent.
It's actually crazy to think about too, and it's like I don't have a big following like a lot of these people, and I think that that's why they do have more automated training systems, because they can't you just can't keep up with an influx of clients like that, right? And so it has to be like automated to a certain point after you have, you know, such a big following. But it's really surprised me, like even with like the followings that I do have on my social medias, like I've been able to build like a really solid group of clients from that, which I really like.
You don't need to have a giant follower base to have a good amount of clients that trust you and that you build those relationships. And I think it's almost better in some regard for both you and the clients to have that personal relationship, because then that really means that they're getting the attention that they need and are paying for.
No, absolutely. And you do get to a point where you start expanding and bringing on other coaches, but it's like you oversee everything.
Yeah.
And you get to choose when you stop taking clients and when you start to slow the roll on incoming clients, you know. And I think that you know, it's kind of a slippery slope for a lot of people, because it's like, okay, yeah, you can make more money and the system's going to be more automated, and that's totally fine if that is your groove, you know. But I think that you do have to be transparent with the fact that people expect that they're going to sign up for your program and you're going to be the one coaching them, and that's not always how it is. So I think that there just has to be a little bit more transparency there, and I don't think that there necessarily is at the moment.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think that they have too many clients and then they start getting VAs like way too soon. Like, I think a lot of people sell out like way too prematurely. You know, if you have an X amount of clients, like you don't need to hire on more coaches and a VA and all of that. Like, just if I am hiring Olivia Fox, I want to work with Olivia Fox, and I think that's should be how it is. And I know that's not how it is. And well, for you, that's how it is.
Yeah.
But for a lot of influencers, that they outsource you, and I don't think that's fair.
And I think that's a big difference too between influencers and online coaches. Like I always say, like I'm not. People are like, oh, like they'll like see my page, like, oh, you're an influencer. I'm like, no, I'm not an influencer by any means. Like,
Yeah.
I'm an online coach. Like, I don't primarily work off of brand deals or sponsorships. I don't work off any brand deals or sponsorships.
Yeah.
Even though I might like to every now and again.
Yeah.
But it's all me, and it's all just training people, and that's like where my passion is. You know, it's not necessarily in doing all these brand deals and sponsorships and just fitness. It's more about caring for people and training people and taking them through that process. And so it's kind of a different dynamic there.
For sure. So can you walk me through kind of what a day in the life of an online coach is like? Like, what time do you get up? And walk me through your entire day.
Yeah. So it's kind of nice. It really varies. You know, there might be some nights where I stay up a little bit later, and I kind of am aware of, I got this from Alex Hormozy, but it's like, you say like you're really on a grind, right? And so you stay up an extra hour, 2 hours, like you know that you're not going to be as efficient the next day for you. You're really tapping into the next day's like fund of energy. And so, you know, there might be some nights where I stay up until like midnight, like working on a lot of stuff, and then I won't get up until probably like 8 or 9 the next morning, you know? But for the most part, I try to be up by 7.
Okay.
I will hop on. I immediately check like all my clients if they left comments on their workouts the day before that I didn't get to.
Okay.
I like to just go on there and make sure everything's good. Usually they're just like telling me how much they love their workouts.
Yeah.
So it's a really good way to start out the day, to be honest.
Yeah.
Check in and see if anyone needs anything right away. And then I'll get into social media. I'll try to make a post, do some like post editing.
Okay.
Lately I've been wanting to do, or just really doing more fasted cardio too.
Okay.
So it's nice. I can do some editing and fasted cardio, go home, eat breakfast, hang out with my pets for a second, give them a little bit of attention, because they act like they're neglected all the time. And then I check in on my posts. I'll send some DMs to people, reply to people's DMs, questions, and kind of go through a cycle of checking on clients, talking to like new prospects, and then just answering people's questions too. I get a lot of questions from people that I know, like, they're honest with me, and I appreciate the honesty. They're like, I really can't like afford to hire a trainer or anything like that, and I'll just like get to their questions still. Like, it's, you know.
I think that builds trust too.
Absolutely. And I've had people too that have like said that. They're like, but like one day, like when I get the opportunity, like I'm going to work with you. And they have. And I never expected it. Like I never expected anything. Like I just wanted to help you.
Yeah.
But they loved the results that they got from not even like working with me just giving them advice.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool. I was like, that's like, I felt like I really like appreciated those people that like really like saved up, or, you know, just took time to get to know me more, and then just like went all in with me, you know?
So walk us through kind of the check-in process. Are you hopping on Zoom calls? Is this kind of like an email weekly check-in? So I know you're tracking their progress throughout the week on your app, but what is the check-in process like? How do I check in with Olivia?
Yeah, so every Friday there is a form that you submit.
Okay.
And it's like,
can I pause you there? What's the form on? Is that through the app as well? Is this
yes,
a Google?
it's through Everfit.
Okay.
It's through Everfit. I make everything as like smooth and easy as possible.
So
for
there's
the
one
clients.
app. Can you do you track your calories through MyFitnessPal or Everfit?
I do.
Okay.
Through Everfit, and you can integrate
Link them.
the app.
Yep.
Yes.
Cool.
So it's perfect.
Yeah.
So I have them fill out this form. It's like, how are your workouts for the week? How are you doing physically? How are you doing mentally? Because that's like so important to me. I say, give me a non-scale win, something that doesn't have to do with your weight at all. And then give me like another win for the week. It doesn't even have to do with fitness. It's just like your personal life, you know, that way to like keep that connection and everything. Give me your current. So it depends. If it's for females, then we'll go over like glute sizes of last week, this week. We'll go over like core sizes if you have any concerns, like any deviations from your plan. And then I just ask for like 48 hours from when they submit it to get back to them about that.
And that's every Friday?
Every Friday. And then every other week, we do Zoom calls.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how do you help someone if they don't follow your plan?
Yeah, that's a great question. And at the end of the day, I can't do the work for them. You know, I can sit there and help them. I am gonna give them a plan from like to get to point A to point B, but I can't show up at the gym for them. I can sit there and cheer them on. You can definitely bet that if you're not doing the workouts, I will call you and be like, hey, like what's going on? I always ask them, I'm like, is everything okay? Like, you know, if people ghost me, which has happened, I'm like, okay, be real with me. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And a lot of times too, people just will have things in life come up, which happens, which totally happens. And I'm like, if, you know, they're like, oh, I couldn't get a babysitter this week, or, you know, like traffic was so bad, like I couldn't make it to the gym or whatever it is. I'm like, just tell me that, like, we can switch it to online workouts. Like, and I've learned to kind of offer that a lot earlier on. Like we'll do online workouts or something like this week. Like if you're having trouble, like you can't leave the house or whatever it is, because people are afraid to reach out about certain things, you know? And so that extra layer of accountability and checking in with them and, you know, making sure everything's okay. And then motivating them, like reminding them why it is that they wanted to start this in the first place. Because
super important. Yeah,
every one of them has an amazing reason. And it's very personal to them. And I keep notes of all of my clients. So I will go back and like refresh myself if like you're missing something, and really be there for that extra layer of support and accountability. And I'm always telling them, like, I'm your number one cheerleader. Like, I'm going to make sure that you are in there getting the work done to the best of my ability. You might get annoyed with me texting you, but like at the end of the day, like I just want you to win. And like I can't do the work for you, but I'm going to do my best to make sure that you get in there and to motivate you and to remind you of why you started this in the first place.
For sure. You had a great point, and that's, you have to be honest with your coach. And if you start, you know, not telling them everything you ate at night, if you snacked and you don't tell them, and then the weight doesn't go down, it's like, well, it's like, is something wrong with the program? It's like, no, you weren't honest and upfront and forthcoming. And that just hurts the overall progress. Like, I think it's better for people to be honest, as hard as it is to tell you, hey, Olivia, like, I slipped on my diet. I had 500 calories of potato chips at night. Like, I feel bad about it, but I wanted to let you know. I think that's the avenue you should go down, rather than, I don't know what happened.
No, for sure. And that's why I don't
It's hard.
even, of course it is, you know, and it's like a lot of people don't want to admit that they like dedicated 3 months or 6 months of their life to this and then slipped up, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like that happens, and that's why like I put on my weekly check-in like where there are deviations, and like all they have to do is check a box that says like nutrition, like, and so I know what's going on. I don't ask a whole lot of questions unless it's super consistent, that they're, you know, kind of falling off plan or they're not getting to their results. But the thing is too, like at the end of the day, like if you do slip up like a little bit, like you're okay. Like it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Like I don't do competition prep, so we're not like really in there like keeping track like that. So, and I always tell them, like, don't feel guilty about it, you know, just like we're here to like make better lifestyle habits. Like we want to create a really good relationship with food at the end of the day. So like don't feel bad about it. Like if I'm, you know, if you really wanted to eat that and you did, like good, like I'm happy for you. Like let's just like make good decisions about it, about whatever it is. Maybe we'll make like healthier swaps so you don't feel like you need to splurge or go off plan as much, you know? Yeah.
All right. Now let me ask a kind of rapid fire hot question. So let's say I'm going out to dinner. How should I navigate that?
It depends. It depends like what your goals are, like what you're trying to, what you like. Give me an example. Give me some more information.
Okay.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Pizza Rock, my favorite pizza spot in town.
Okay.
What should I do?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, like I said, if you've been like good all week, and like this is purely for lifestyle clients and off season clients, um, if if you've been good and you know you really want to do that, then yeah, go. Maybe don't overindulge and eat like an entire pizza yourself because at the end of the day, like you're gonna make yourself sick. And I feel like that's where a lot of like binge eating habits like come into play. So it's like, okay, like I can go, but maybe I'll have like one or two slices and like I'll drink water. Like I'm not gonna have like a lemonade or like something that has a lot of sugar in it, like a soda or something like that. But it's like go and hang out with your friends there and you know and enjoy it and track it.
Okay. Let's say I want to go to Miami for the weekend and I have every intention on drinking. How should I navigate that?
And just be smarter in your decisions. You know, I always say like the best thing that you can do is like tequila and soda water.
Yeah.
Soda water keeps you hydrated, and then between each drink, like drink a water or drink a soda water by itself and some lime. Like, just make smarter decisions when you do it. And then also like you have to know that the food in your body isn't gonna necessarily digest the same. You're gonna start to carry more fat, right, if you're drinking.
Yeah.
So maybe eat before that, and then give your food some time to digest, and then go out and do your thing and have fun with it. You know.
Okay. Let's say I want to just lose weight as fast as possible. What do I do?
I would ask you why. Why do you want to lose weight as fast as possible? Like,
I'm just trying to get it off quickly. Like
okay.
I'm unhappy with where I'm at. I want to lose 50 pounds.
Okay.
I want to lose 20 pounds.
Yeah. So to me, it's always, yeah, you can do that for sure. To me, it's always a red flag. I have a lot of people that do ask me that. They're like, I want to lose like 30 pounds in a month. And I'm like,
Unrealistic expectations.
yes. I'm like, why? Because when you do something like that, you're going to crash diet. You're going to do all these things that are really unhealthy for you. You're going to push your body to the max and you're going to gain all that weight, probably plus more back. And so I'm like, realistically, that's not safe. It's not healthy and it's not going to stay off. So if you want something that is going to help in the long run and you want to lose weight, then it would be, I don't know what their eating habits are like currently. Say they're eating maintenance. Go into like a calorie deficit. Make sure you're drinking enough water. Most people aren't drinking enough water. And that itself can change a lot. Like increase your cardio, like do things like get your body moving and get a really good plan. Like you need like a really solid workout plan. Don't just go into the gym and follow all of these like strange videos that you find like from like influencers and stuff all the time, you know, like follow like a really solid plan. Invest in yourself. Like that's what you want to do and it's that serious to you that you want to lose weight that quickly. Then invest in a coach and someone that's going to help you get there, you know, as sustainably as possible and teach you those long-term habits. But also understand that like there are unrealistic expectations and they're generally very unhealthy. They're not going to last.
For sure. And I think it's important to have someone tell you that up front, like, hey, like if you think that we're going to lose 30 pounds in 30 days, like we're not, like this is what we can do. Like I can put you on a plan to get you in the right direction. It's going to take X amount of time if you stick to the plan.
Yeah.
And really, I think the crazy thing is that a lot of it, you know, I would say 80% comes down to the math equation. It's the calorie deficit versus calorie surplus and doing the right things. The
And
basics.
and eating healthy, like making, because yeah, you can eat, I don't know, 1,700 calories in a day, but if those calories are coming from like sugary foods and then it, you know, it's not necessarily going to be beneficial, but it's eating like clean, like whole foods and knowing like what you're putting into your body. And you can eat more food like when you eat like whole foods, but if you're eating like processed sugary foods, like you're going to be eating so much less. You're going to think that you're starving and your sugar intake is going to be absolutely insane probably.
I was surprised by the amount of carbs in a packet of Pop-Tarts. Shit is literally off the chain. Like you cannot make that fit your macros under any circumstance.
What
like,
is it?
I think it's like 60 carbs per 2 Pop-Tarts and they're not even filling.
No, they're not filling.
They're not filling and probably tons of sugar. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't have the packet in front of me, but we'd have to double check.
I don't think they were made to be filling. A lot of these foods aren't. They're just like snacky foods that like we really like promote and push so hard and make so normal. And then we're like, oh my gosh, like diabetes is on the rise. No shit, diabetes is on the rise. Like we're not teaching anyone like good education, and we're just putting all these crazy foods out there and teaching kids to eat them young. Like, have you ever heard about how they structure shelves for like the like really sugary like foods, or like sometimes put on shelves to be more eye level with children who are gonna grab them.
Yeah, and then the healthy stuff's up top.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That blew my mind. That absolutely blew my mind.
There's a whole structure to the grocery store.
There is.
And how they lay out their food items and things like that.
It blows my mind though, because it's like you put so much thought into the structure of the shelves, like so like children can grab them, but you can't put like that much thought into like teaching people about like nutrition and health.
The government doesn't want to teach us that.
Yeah.
They want us to be weak and docile. They want us to be dependent on them. They want big pharma and the government and big food corporations to have control over us.
Oh, 100%. And they do right now.
They do.
100%. It's so sad.
But we're breaking that mold.
Oh, yeah, of course. Come work with me and we'll break that mold for sure.
Hell yeah. Okay. So one of my final questions is, you're an online fitness coach, and I know you're working with people who have paved the way for you. So I use this term called time collapse, which I heard from Bedros Cooley, and it's like what you could accomplish in 5 years, you collapse it down into 6 months. You don't spin your own wheels. You don't, trial and fail. Like that's one way to do it. You can do it that way, but why would you spend your time wasting your time when you could just learn from someone who's a couple steps ahead of you? So I saw you recently went to a kind of mastermind group. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, of course. So when I switched into online, I had absolutely no idea how to do that. I didn't even actually know that I was going to do that at the time. I was talking to Tyler Fierro, who is a coach for coaches now. Okay. So he's kind of getting away from like actual training and getting more into training trainers, right? How to grow and scale your business. It had never really like crossed my mind that was the direction that I wanted to take my company until I was talking to him. And he was just like telling me like the process and the numbers and the scalability, and it really blew my mind. And I know some people that knew him, and so I kind of like reached out to them and was like, is this legit? Like this sounds like too good to be true. And they're like, no, like he's like an amazing person. Like they spoke so highly of him. And I was like, okay, like, like let's go all in. And I'm so glad like it was so smart of me to like hire a coach, because he's done it. Like he got me from point A to point B and has given me like a roadmap of how to do it. And I still work with him. Yep. He teaches me so much knowledge, and that's why I always tell people like it's so important to invest in yourself, and whatever it is, like take that leap, because you're only going to be making this investment for such a short period in your life, and it's going to help you throughout your entire life.
For sure.
And
I think that's super cool that you invested in yourself to, push your online fitness business forward, because I'm sure he answers a lot of questions that you might have, because it's not all obvious. It might be obvious in hindsight, looking back, but finding the right tools, communicating with your clients in the right way, setting up the calls, like there's so many nuances that you could try and you might be doing wrong for years.
Right.
And it's not until you work with someone and you see these numbers, you get exposed to what's possible, that you get better at your craft.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. He has helped me do absolutely everything when it comes to my company. And from like the structure to, like you said, how to communicate with potential clients, to how to run an online business and switch from in-person to online. And that's what he really specializes in, because that's what he did himself.
Right.
And he's just so good at it and so personable. And it honestly, like all of this, like I attribute to him because I would not be here without him by any means.
Yeah, and it takes like people like that to bring you under their wing, show you the path, and then it puts you on the path, the trajectory for you to do that to the next person.
Yeah, absolutely.
In your future, do you see yourself helping out other online fitness coaches? Is that a couple years down the line, or do you prefer kind of helping men and women with their fitness journey at this point?
I think where I see myself, at least for the next like 5 years, would be helping people. I want to like remain a coach and a trainer, and um, if I were to like work for a company helping other coaches, I wouldn't mind doing that, but I don't think I'd want to start my own company to do
Gotcha.
that necessarily.
Nice.
I've seen him do it. It's a lot of work, and
Yeah.
I love this trajectory for myself right now, and I have a little bit of a plan, so
Very cool.
I'm excited.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience today?
Yeah, if you want to get started, like just go get started. Go into the gym, get familiar with it. If you have questions, like reach out to people, like whether it's a friend or an online coach or whatever it is, like just start making moves. And it's like we always say that we want to do something and we're going to start tomorrow. You're not going to start tomorrow. Start today. And if you don't have anyone to reach out to, you can always reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any and all questions. Yeah, that's what I got to say for sure.
Oh, yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and leave it on a high note. This has been Elevation with Chris Oram, episode 12 with Olivia Fox. Go ahead and follow her on the social medias. And if you want to reach out for coaching, definitely go ahead and do that too. But this is Elevation with Chris Oram, where we talk to individuals who have climbed the ladder of success. And we will see you in the next one, folks. Have a great day.